What is going on, everybody? It has been a while, but we are back with another episode of the Sonoma State Dynasty here on the Rabbit Hole Sports and Media YouTube channel on college football 25. In this one, we have a showdown with the San Diego State Aztecs at Snapdragon Stadium. So get ready for that. Want to take care of some business around the nation first. So stick around real quick while we do that, and then we will get in to the highlights. But first and foremost, I want to look at recruiting a little bit, see where we stand with some of the four-star guys we're going after. Again, we have that recruiting restriction. We can only take a max of 5. I did put more on the board to start because I don't expect us to get all of the guys we put on, especially being as low as we are in the recruiting upgrades for the coach abilities. But obviously, we want to make this a more realistic setting for what it would be like to recruit as a smaller school. But again, we want to take the aim of we're trying to build a smaller program into one that can compete with all of these bigger ones with a lot of resources. And a big key to that is going to be bringing in some guys who do project as more top-end players. But we wouldn't be able to do that at the rate as, say, in Alabama or a Georgia, but we still need to get in some quality talent. So here is where we stand with some of those guys, and we'll see how it all shakes out with the years. But now looking at the top 25 through, three weeks of the season so far. We're in week 4. Some early SEC domination. So 2 Big Ten teams at the top in Oregon and Ohio State. But spots 3 through 10 are all SEC teams, and as I mentioned, we kind of are using the SEC and Big Ten as a Super 2 to, in a way, further divide the levels of college football. But 20 of the 25 spots are taken up by SEC and Big Ten teams. Arizona is the highest of the Power 4 in the rankings, sitting at 11, and SMU, representing for the Pac-12, at number 22. But looking at some of the marquee matchups for this weekend, starting in the Big Ten, we got USC traveling from Southern California to Ann Arbor, Michigan to take on the Wolverines. Then we got Florida State going to Notre Dame in an SEC Big Ten matchup. Florida State off to a much better start in this dynasty than in real life this year, where they really struggled, but currently sitting at number 6 in the nation. And then we have a top 25 matchup in the ACC between NC State and Louisville. Perhaps some early implications on who will be going to the conference championship there. And then the last matchup I want to highlight is Toledo and Western Michigan. And that is because these are the 2 MAC teams playing up in the American. Again, if you've seen the first 3 episodes, I've alluded to the fact that I'm doing a little promotion relegation aspect between the power and group conferences. So there's 2 group teams playing up in each power conference each season. The better conference record of the 2 will remain up while the lower one returns. If they are tied in conference record, the first tiebreaker is going to be head-to-head matchup. So these matchups are more critical. I think it brings more excitement and just could bring more attention to some of the smaller schools and have them playing in some games that have a little more meaning more consistently. So we'll keep an eye on who gets the early upper hand in the American Conference in terms of staying afloat. But let's take a quick peek at how the Pac-12 is shaking to start off the campaign. Of course, that is the conference we are in. SMU off to a strong start. I mentioned they are the lone team from our conference. Currently ranked, they're sitting at 4-0, have already played 3 conference games and are off to a 3-0 start there as well. So they have a very good early upper hand on potentially representing the Pac-12 in the college football playoff this season. But looking at the other division in our conference, Washington State and Texas State currently are off to undefeated starts at 3-0 and 2-0. The rest of the conference, kind of shaky. We'll see how it plays out as we get into conference play. But Washington State and Texas State, while very early, certainly off to the best start in the other division. But last and not least, before we get into the highlights versus San Diego State, I want to take a quick look at some of our team stats, some of the individual player stats on the team. is probably the correct clarification there. But Teron Barnes off to a strong start, completing passes at a 64% rate and averaging almost 318 yards per game passing. So really terrific in the air game so far this year, and really happy with the play we've gotten out of Teron Barnes. Moving on to the running game, we want to get more carries to our running backs. They're both Keontae Tyson, Spencer Strickland. They're both averaging 7 carries per game, while Teron Barnes is averaging 15. And obviously with the option style attack we are running, we're really leaving it up to the defense a little more on who the ball ends up in the hands of, especially in the run game. And a big part of that as well is sacks. So if we can cut down on sacks and get ourselves in situations where we can get more downhill in the run game and just take some of the pressure off our quarterback, that's going to be a big key moving forward. But in the passing game, Scooter Page has emerged as the early top target, averaging over 90 yards a game. Of course, had a huge first half in our first game of the season versus Hawaii, had 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. If you haven't seen the highlights for that one, go back and watch them. He was absolutely balling out. It was great to see. But he's been really good. Javion Foreman, good as well. Scott McLawler has also shown up as a really good target in the passing game from the tight end position. We've had a really good mix of receivers, really good ball distribution. Overall, really happy with what we've done in the passing game so far, and that's going to be key moving forward. But I think a key, or a big indicator of whether we'll be able to keep up the success we've had in the passing game is going to be how well we can start to get our running backs going in the running game. But without further ado, let's get into our main event, which of course is our game versus the San Diego State Aztecs on the road in Snapdragon Stadium. We're going to wear our away alternate uniforms in this one. And if you went to Sonoma State, let me know what you think of the uniforms, because our colors to me were always more of a navy blue and kind of a powder / Carolina blue. But the logo I got, which is the school's real logo, came out with this more like royalish blue color. So I went around that theme a little bit more, partially because on a test run with this team, I couldn't get the powder blue to not be too light, where it didn't blend in with the white uniform. So that's why I went with this blue. But let's get into it at Snapdragon Stadium, which, being from San Diego, makes me a little sad being at sometimes, just because I think about the fact that it is where Qualcomm Stadium, where the Chargers used to play, that is where the stadium was. They built Snapdragon essentially right on top of the same site. But anyway, on to the football. 2nd and 10 here. We're going to get it to Keontae Tyson. He's going to get a first down. And like I talked about, getting the running backs more consistent carries, getting the load off of Teron Barnes is going to be key. And here you're going to get an easy one out in the flat to Demetrius Williamson, set us up with a 2nd and 2 on our opening drive. Looking to get off to a good start. We've done that for the most part all season long, and that could continue here. Spencer Strickland gets down the sideline, and Sonoma State is in the red zone on the first drive of the game. Gonna see if we can cash in here. Send Strickland in motion. And a little dangerous there. Was looking to get the out route. Looked like that guy was sitting on that hook, but kind of easy to see the line of vision on the quarterback there. But in opening drive field goal, Ian Wells drives it in, and Sonoma State is on the board on their first series. So San Diego State looking to answer. Their biggest threat is at running back right there, Cameron Christon. He is insanely fast. Going to pick up the first down on 3rd and 3. You need to keep him contained. But a 2nd and 9 here, and we are going to get in the backfield. Tackle for loss. Taj Coles working his way in. And that's going to set up a 3rd and 11. 3rd down, always so critical. And here we are going to do exactly what we want to do on defense, and that is get quick pressure through the interior, preferably lock down those deep threats, and that is a first drive stop for Sonoma State. So a sensational start here for us as we get ourselves in position to potentially take a 2-score lead in the first quarter. And we want to maximize the number of possessions other teams need in order to beat us. So fantastic start here. Going to try to step up and get sacked. And getting Teron Barnes hit is not a big part of the game plan. We got to get that solved. But you know what solves it? Sliding. 3rd and inches now. Much better play in terms of safety and productivity. And it's going to be Keontae Tyson on a counter, picking up the first down. And yet another 3rd and inches here, and potentially another trip to the red zone. And it will happen. Keontae Tyson again. So a good start getting the running backs involved. Spencer Strickland on that big play on the opening drive. And now a couple of nice chunk runs from Keontae Tyson. And right here, just going to have to backpedal a little bit to evade that edge pressure. And it is Scott McLawler taking it in for a Sonoma State touchdown. And the Seawolves are off to a fantastic start. The tight end has been terrific. The junior, outstanding first game. He is really spurty, I think, which feels like a really weird word, but I guess really isn't. But it seems like he just has a flurry. Maybe that's a better word. He has a flurry of catches and then just kind of goes silent for a while. So got to get him consistently involved. As the Aztecs are going to get their receivers involved, a little bubble screen, get out on the edge. Those consistently seem to hurt us with these looks, and you can kind of see why. Defense here doesn't even really account for it, but they're going to try a jet sweep on 3rd and 1, and we did have the edge set, that is for sure. And here we're going to look to get out of the shadow of our own end zone and continue to build, and it's Scott McLawler for a big game. Like I said, with him, when it rains, it absolutely pours. So big first down there, get us out of the way of our own end zone, and guess who? You already know, Scott McLawler again, setting us up with a 2nd and short, getting some good looks to run against. We really want to get some nice underfronts to run against. That's going to be our best look. And then here on a 3rd and 17, this play is so tricky to me, just reading the release, but you'll see B on the right side there. He gets so wide open. We end up taking Scott McLawler over the ball. Ends up being the safe throw. Did have some pressure getting in at the time, so who knows if we would have gotten through the whole throwing animation in time to hit Scooter Page on the corner. But either way, we get the safe result and punt. But gonna get SDSU into another 3rd down. 3rd and 2 here. They will pick it up. And they're looking to get on the scoreboard. Wide open in the flat. We will surrender that more than getting cooked over the top, certainly. But if they keep dinking and dunking on us, eventually we will have to get into some man coverage, which is always scary, especially if we don't get pressure home. And borderline disaster. I think you'll see as we go through here that my pursuit tackling from the safety is not great, as we're going to give up a slot fade touchdown and tough look, a little cover 2 invert, essentially, and just hard for the guy in the slot to end up getting back over the top. But I will say the bail technique could be better, but we'll work on that in practice. We get it out to Scooter Page here. Want to get ourselves going again. Had such a great first 2 series and really had an opportunity to score on our next one, and that is not going to help in the least. An interception, our 4th of the season. First 2 games did not throw any picks, and then had 3 versus Colorado. 2 were essentially when the game was over / we needed to make a big play. We're a little desperate. So not the end of the world, but that is a big one right there. But we're going to get the ball back. 2nd and 3 here. Teron Barnes, the workload has not necessarily cut down a ton, but Keontae Tyson and his success in the ground game has certainly been nice to see in this first half as we look to get another score, preferably in the end zone. Make it a 2-score game going into the second half, but that is not going to help. It's going to go to 2nd and 15, and Jalen McDonald, I don't know what's going on there. He is traditionally a center, and I have him playing left tackle. As we miss the 3rd and 15 throw, we'll have to punt it back to the Aztecs. I could get into how I, pick the positions for the O-line and everything, but I think that'll be something else I do a little later before I start the next season. Maybe do a little more of a scheme-oriented video. And, that'll be something that you won't need to watch. You won't miss any plot points if you don't watch that video. So if football schematics is not something you care about, it will not be a video you need to see. But I feel like it'd be fun to kind of let people know what my vision is with the team, how I want to attack offensively and defensively. And we would get the ball back and be with one final opportunity. And this double corner route really just attacks the leverage here as we try to get a field goal. And we are able to create the separation for Scott McLawler. Who else? I mean, again, when he just gets going, he's hard to stop. He gets in, not to make comparisons to this guy, because he's one of, if not the greatest tight end ever, but he gets in almost a Travis Kelce-like mode where when he just gets hot, the ball just seems to find him in space all the time, and it leads to us adding a field goal before the half. So still just a one-score game, 13-7. See, Scott McLawler there, 5 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown in the first half alone. And defensively, holding SDSU to 7 points is fantastic work. We were able to get pressure and stops against the run on the first couple series of the game. Of course, eventually ended up giving up a big play over the top, but at least before that, we're kind of forcing them to chip their way down the field, take more conservative throws, and test their patience, I guess, is really the best way to put it. Which I don't want them to do too much. I want us to get after it a little bit, which is kind of counterintuitive to football theory, which is more if you don't have great defenders, sit back more, keep everything in front, and we may switch to that eventually, depending on how this season goes. But just with our team already not being great, and this being a video game, why not have a little fun? The first drive of the second half for us, and Teron Barnes is going to fumble, and there's been a couple turnovers from Barnes now, and the first one did not bite us, but this one very much so could, as SDSU already down in the red zone, and our defense is going to keep getting after it. They have played so well through one half, plus essentially 2 drives, and off 2 turnovers have surrendered 3 total points. So really great job for us defensively, really content with that. But offensively, we need to get back into a rhythm, and this will certainly help as Javon Moore is loose. He is in Devin Hester mode, and he is gone. And the Seawolves get the exact kind of play they need. Our offense has been so good this year. It's been a little bit of a struggle being consistent today, and getting big plays from the defense and the special teams is certainly going to lighten their load a little bit. I feel like I've said load or something related to you-know-what a couple times in this episode. I apologize. But we're going to keep getting pressure here and get the Aztecs into a 3rd and 8. So 20-10. And as I said, my safety pursuit skills going to get a little exposed. We missed the tackle, and Cameron Kristen has a big answer right back for San Diego State. They are right back in the end zone. He hits us with a gritty. I think that is the ultimate celebration of shame. There should be double points for that against us, just for allowing an opponent to gritty on us. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank goodness we don't play Justin Jefferson, right? But here we go. We need an answer, and we do find it. Don't know how we squeaked that one in there to Scooter Page, but he's been a big play guy for us all season long. And also in a previous video, as Teron Barnes gets absolutely drilled there, I believe I said Scooter Page was a freshman. He's actually a sophomore, so still young, still someone we hope to keep around for a little bit, for a couple years after this. But he is a sophomore, not a freshman. And we're going to go for a 4th down here. And just nothing going on. And big turnover. Maybe should have just trusted the defense there. I feel like they've earned more trust than maybe I showed right there with that decision. Maybe got a little gun shy given the big play we had just surrendered. But we're going to keep the pressure on. Maybe should have just taken off there, A.J. Duffy, but a nice job in coverage. And the Aztecs will settle for a field goal, but we are all tied up at 20. And you just can't help but think about some missed opportunities, but why not create more opportunities? Alex Gunderson, the backup tight end, downfield with a huge play. You love to see it, and then right here, we need to just put him on the sideline, end up leaving it behind, and it's going to be a 4th down, but Ian Wells is going to cash in the 3 points, and we are back on top. And we're going to get an absolutely huge play from Terrell Pace right there, an interception, and despite the mistakes, our team has found a lot of answers. Really happy with how we have responded to some not consistently great situational football. I don't know. We'll leave that where it is. As we go for it on another 4th down, we're going to get it out wide and not going on with Cameron Teague, trying to run the old Vince Lombardi special, the sweep. We want to get a seal here and a seal here and run the ball in the alley. Unfortunately, our own players clogged up the alley, and we get stopped, but our defense cannot be stopped right now. Their 4th sack of the game. Taj Coles has been in the backfield relentlessly, and my goodness. I apologize to Nico Solomon, the safety. A masterclass from myself at safety today, and a much more somber tone in the commentary now. But let's lift the spirits. We need to get a score right here. Anytime I get in a good mood in this, I see a play like that and I forget that it happened. But Teron Barnes, cheese, please, a couple times. And we're going to get a big play that we need to get back on track at the start of the 4th here. And our defense gave up 7 points in the first half, and then a 20-burger from the Aztecs in the 3rd quarter, partially due to some turnovers, but also a couple of huge plays surrendered. We would complete that tight throw on the sideline to Javion Foreman. I believe it was Javion Foreman, as we shift around a bunch here. And Teron Barnes is going to step up, get out to the right side, and get inside the 10-yard line to set up a 1st and goal for the Aztecs. And we're going to do some more changes. 3rd and goal from the 2. And Jackson Gregory, the fullback. You love getting the fullback involved. Who doesn't love a fullback touchdown? Wide open in the flat. Does the gritty work. Doesn't complain. Real leader. You know, real leader. Fullbacks are always real leaders. That's my feeling. But nice catch there for Jackson Gregory. And the touchdown, but San Diego State right back to work. They've certainly built up some confidence against us offensively, and a chance for a takeaway right there. Chase Freeman, who got the clinching interception in our first win of the season in Tempe, Arizona against Arizona State. Not able to haul that one in, and I am putting on more of a clinic on how to tackle as a defensive back, and SDSU would work their way down to the goal line, and they would cook us on the option, and they would head back in front 34-30. So we need a response. 3rd and 8. Can't find a throw. We take off. Gonna be in another 4th down. We failed on a couple of them. Here a little more justified to go for it. I feel like their offense has certainly been in much more of a rhythm, and we pick it up and fumble. And for as much as I was complimenting us for having great answers to some not great situations earlier, that has not been the case pretty much ever since I said that. I had another terrible tackling exhibition, and then here they're going to hit the out route for the touchdown in a game that felt like we very much had the momentum, had control. Ends up getting away with the exclamation point right here on an interception, trying to get it to Demetrius Williamson. If you don't switch on to receivers and user them back to the ball on this game, you can really, really get cooked by defensive backs. They're really aggressive back to the ball. And then we would get one more sack, but then we would, of course, give up one more touchdown. And this went from a game where we allowed 7 first half points to 48 total, and why not one more interception to cap it off. So a tough one. Wouldn't give up another score, but we fall 48-30. Really tough third and fourth quarters. Put up 450 yards offensively. Another 3-pick game for Barnes. Again, 2 kind of desperation ones, but had 2 costly fumbles and the earlier interception. Over 100 yards rushing, so 355 total yards of offense. But just way too many disastrous plays. And then Scott McLawler, like I said, had that really hot first half and then didn't do much in the second half. The story of the game for SDSU was certainly Cameron Kristen. SDSU, 154 yards on the ground. The Aztecs, 5.3 yards per carry, while also completing 27 of 37 throws. Taj Coles actually finished with 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, but get national and conference defensive player of the week honors. So that's a good sight to see, but certainly a lot to work on and improve upon moving forward. We will see you next time, where first we have a bye week, and then we will head to Reno.